Welcome back, Crusaders. You found your way to Crusade with me, the place where we get real, get honest, and take this life by the reins. Today's episode kicks off something new, something different. We're calling this series The Appointed Hour, living like the clock is ticking. In today's episode 81A, ask one simple, terrifying, and exhilarating question. What if you knew the exact day and time you were going to die? Well, good morning, my queen.
Good morning, love.
How are you?
I'm feisty.
I noticed. We're getting a late start today, but
Really?
well, it's later than we normally start recording.
Oh, wow.
So there's that. That's what I meant by a late start today. No, we got up early. We got up at almost our normal. I know you did.
Yeah.
And I slept in for a half hour today versus a work day. So, but busy week. Seems like we say that every week.
Yeah, always. Well, when the weekends are busy, it makes the week busy, and then we hit the ground running yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Yep.
So, yeah, I worked remote yesterday because I had a dental appointment in the morning, and so I just spent a lot of time on my phone yesterday.
And then we were on our way to Costco after the dental appointment, and let's just say we never made it to Costco. We made it through the parking lot, and there was a Chevy dealer right next to Costco, and so we ended up spending 4 hours at the Chevy dealer.
Well, and that's because, honestly, because we've been laying some plans, longer term plans, and so, well, I'm going to go back to the dental appointment.
Okay.
Not that it necessarily ties into this series, but this whole series is because of my number one grandson, right?
Right.
The BSS, we'll just leave it at that. When he was about, one, I remember he was standing in our living room looking out a door out to the front yard in his little swim trunks.
That came to his ankles.
And this is when he looked like his papa because he had a Buddha belly. You remember?
Yes.
Because I was realizing that when I take off my shirt, I kind of look like Buddha. But anyway. And we snapped a picture, and ever since then, I still look at that picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I started calling him my big sexy stud.
Yeah.
So that's what BSS stands for. He's my big sexy stud.
Mm-hmm.
But he's 12 now.
Yeah.
And so, and if you don't think you're maturing, that's a really pleasant term, maturing versus growing older. I went to the dentist yesterday, and I had made a statement years ago, that I was holding out, and I would get my teeth fixed when our dear, lifelong, darn near lifelong friends, their youngest son had determined he wanted to be a dentist. And so this boy, I mean, you've changed his diaper, right?
Yep.
He is now, and I guess I forgot this, they call dentists doctors. He's Dr., I'm not going to say his last name, but maybe when he gets done with me, I'll
Give him a plug.
I'll give him a plug.
I don't think
but
he needs your business.
I'm not.
He's quite successful.
Obviously, and not that I'm not real happy, but I'm not real happy. But that's not anything to do with him.
No, it's your expectations of a timeline. But
I told him
you hadn't been to the dentist in many years, so he's
correct.
Got a lot of years to
correct.
I
know, and I understand that, and well, it was a couple things, right? And you said a word there that is really something that we need to talk about repeatedly in the next 3 episodes as we look at this kind of a deep subject and a tough subject. Mm-hmm. And that is, you said expectations. I did. I had expectations, and I thought I had communicated them well enough to him at the beginning because he asked what I wanted. And I told him.
Right. Well, and I had communicated before I made the appointment for you because I had my teeth cleaned
right
2 weeks ago and saw him, and
boy, did that fly out the freaking window really fast.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I told him, I said, I'm making an appointment for Dave. I said, for a consultation. I said, this is what he wants. I said, well, what he really wants, I can't afford. And he said, okay. He said,
I want a 1-day deal. I want to go one time, fix it. Yep. I mean, I don't care if you got to saw my head off and then sew it back on. If you can do it in a day, I'm good with that. I don't care. Yeah. And
he said, Dave, we're all about saving teeth, not pulling teeth.
Like, well, I've only got X number to pull, so it's not like you're going to be working overtime. But he's
laid a plan.
Yeah.
And it's a much cheaper plan.
Now I will admit, yes, that's. But I was going to talk to his dad because his dad's pretty savvy, and I'm going to tell him,
business savvy or like suave savvy?
No, business. Well, hey, he bought a stabbing cabin for a pickup truck. I remember I picked his wife up at a train station one time. That's pretty suave, is it not?
I don't think she saw it that way.
Oh, I love that.
But it was funny because you text his dad while you were sitting in the chair waiting for him, and you said, hey, I'm here. I'm getting my teeth fixed. You're going to get a really nice Christmas present this year.
Yeah. He said, well, if you had waited so long, it probably wouldn't be so expensive. And I'm like, well, there's true that. And I guess here's the problem. And I want to see, I'm going to talk to my buddy, see if I can pay him, because his wife, it's not the dentist. It's not that's not the holdup here.
Yeah.
It's the cleaning lady.
The cleaning lady.
And I'm like,
the hygienist.
Whatever. Okay.
Dental hygienist.
They're the cleaning ladies.
Right.
I'm like, but so he's like, well, we got to do half and then we got to let you rest and heal. And then we'll do, I'm like, bullshit. I said, why don't you, you got 2 cleaning ladies? Why don't you just get, schedule one for 2 hours and schedule the other one for 2 hours? He looked at me like stuck on stupid, like, I'd never thought of that. And I'm like, well, son, I need to get you some CI training, lean manufacturing, continuous improvement.
Right. And his mom was a dental hygienist.
I know.
Can we bring her out of retirement?
So that's what I said. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just going to talk to my buddy and say, hey, can I slip you $1,000 or something? And I mean, I got a chisel and I got a drill. I don't know what else you might need. It's in the garage. I can.
Oh, dear.
I need to get one of those old-fashioned, because I'll tell you what, now, I wasn't prepared for this, and I don't know if I looked, because you were in the room the whole time. You don't trust me with doctors.
I just did not want you to say, okay, when he laid out the plan, I didn't want you to say, okay, I got to go home and talk to her and find out what she wants. And I knew then you would never return. So I was going to be there to hear the plan and say, yes, this is what we're doing.
You're holding my hand like I'm a toddler.
I
and you
did
walk
not
me
hold
over
your
there.
hand. I just didn't want you to be a great escape artist. Also, you are so impatient. I mean, we had arrived one time when you turned 50 and had a colonoscopy, and you were ready to leave because you had to wait more than 5 minutes. Literally. Do I lie?
Hey, they set the appointment. I didn't. And I was there on time.
But anywhere in the medical world, you are going to wait. They don't care. It's just how it is.
I didn't wait at the dentist office 5 minutes. I sat down and they called my name. I liked that. I appreciated that. That was awesome. It probably helps when you're the first appointment of the day, but
anyways, I know how you are, and I was not going to let you escape. So,
well, here's my my beliefs on that. My time is as equally as valuable.
Understand that.
As
but
anybody else.
When you had already, for the colonoscopy, you had already done the prep. You'd done the hard part.
Yeah.
Why walk away?
It was part of the problem was that the freaking old man sitting next to me with the 6 chocolate muffins from the Amish bakery and like offering them to all of us colonoscopists. Like, what the hell are you thinking? I mean, this is like, I was going to rip his head off.
Smart. Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to see this through from start to finish.
I know. So anyway, we get in there, and he's like, no, you've really got good teeth, believe it or not. We got to chisel some shit out, but other than that, you're okay. Well, except for a couple in the front. And I'm like, well, that's kind of important. But I can fix that too. I'm like, all right.
We're going to get a bridge. Yep. I thought it was great news, and again,
well, it was till I go to the front. So again, I'm like, how can I look? I'm no super special person. I understand that. I'm not
super special,
but I do consider my time as equally valuable, at least to me, as his time is to him. Yeah. And this is not about the dentist. I want to be clear. But did I not say? I wrote it on my paperwork, because I don't know that they really read all that stuff on your, they and then they kind of bugged me about it. They kept texting me, we need your paperwork ahead of you arriving. They need you. So I didn't do it till Thursday evening, right when I got home from work.
I kept telling you, it's because they want to get it in the computer system so that when you do arrive, it's done.
Well, they did. It worked, right? Because she said, oh, everything's already in. Thank you. All I need is your driver's license. I said, all right. So all that nagging didn't do anything. All right. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them.
I know. I was nagging.
I know you were. But anyway, then in the information I put, fix my teeth, 3 visits.
I said, what is this? This isn't Name That Tune in 3 notes.
Well, I know that guy paid a lot of money for his education.
Yep.
And that was a I'm proud of him for that. I mean, seriously.
Yep, he was in school a long time.
I'm proud of him. That's awesome.
Yep. It's still...
And that's why I went to him, right? Because I don't...
Right.
And that's why I did. Because I told him I would.
Yeah. I've been going to him for like 4 years. And I kept telling you, it is so strange. It is so strange to hear other people call him doctor.
Yeah.
And because he's always his first name to me.
Right. He's our daughter's age. Well, he's just a hair older.
Yeah, it's like 6 months older. So, I mean, we're told when they first got pregnant. So, anyways, it's just so strange.
We had a really fun New Year's Eve with them. Remember that?
Yes, when we did a bourbon tasting, he led it because obviously he went to school
in Louisville.
So, anyways, it's just so odd, and I kept telling you that. And I have to correct myself and not call him by his first name because it's just respectful. So you got to experience that, and you're kind of like shaking your head, like, yeah, that is weird. That is very weird.
Who are you talking about? Oh, him? Oh, sorry, didn't. But obviously, just like the family, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He's a great guy. I mean, he is. He really is.
And he gave us a lovely friends and family discount.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, nor did I. No, here's where I got to talk to my buddy about this. He's the senior big sexy stud. Right? I can't do that. Well, I'm sure she would agree, but anyway.
Well, of course.
He's got to get back, because I told him when I sat down, but look, I know this is a big dollar and I'm prepared to pay it. And I told him the amount.
Yes, you did.
And then he comes back and he's like, no, I'll do this for like a third, not even a third. It's like a quarter.
A quarter.
Yeah, a quarter of what I had. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, so
that's terrible business.
Yeah.
When,
Again,
and
I don't
knew,
think he's hurting for business.
I know, but I'm just saying that now, this is what he's got to unscrew himself, because I don't know if he screwed up or what. But so we actually sat down there after he'd done, took the pick and picked all my teeth, right? Because he would put that thing on there and name this one and that one and this one and that
Well,
one.
I
And
think he's feeling for density of cavities
I
and
have no
different
idea.
things. Yeah.
So all I really wanted was I wanted him to yank all my teeth out and then make me be like Jaws from the James Bond movie, with all the stainless steel. That's what I wanted. That's not what I'm getting. But
I would not have approved of that.
No, I wanted dentures that you snap in. They don't take the glue and the stuff. I just wanted the one with the bolts and the whatever.
Yeah.
Because I can handle bolts, right? I know what that. I had an erector set when I was young.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I was going to talk to the senior big sexy stud about was, you got to teach your kid to have better business mind when somebody says they're willing to pay this. You don't come back and say, well, I'm going to charge you a quarter of it. No, you say, I think I can get that number. I think I can get it down to that number. And you leave it at that. Anyway, it's my thought. Just my thought. So I thought, you could have had another trip to Disney or whatever the hell you got. I don't know what he does.
When I told him I was making an appointment for you, and I told him what you wanted, and I told him, I said, so if you're like looking for a new car or a vacation, I'm like, just now's the time to book it. Now's the time to go buy it. I'll just sign the check.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get senior big sexy stud's wife, because he tells me, okay, it's going to be 5 visits, not 3. And I'm like, okay, I'll give him 2. You know what I'm saying? That's not bad.
Yeah.
And I also made it clear, look, I don't want this to drag on.
Right.
He said, no, we're not going to let this drag on. We're going to get this. I said, okay. And nobody thinks about, I want you to heal. I don't want, what can you tolerate? And I'm like, don't worry about that. I said, if you mess my teeth up or you mess my, if I'm in pain, I can drink bourbon through a straw. Okay. And I'm sure that will help. And he said, I'm sure it will. I said, okay. So let's just schedule the stuff, get it done. And it was an agreement. So I walk out there to pay, I thought, and, get the final cost and all this stuff, and then make an appointment for my cleaning, which is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I got to have 2 cleanings.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, well, the next one is like 2.5 months from now. I'm like, what the hell you guys? So I was pretty frustrated. But anyway, so that's why I'm trying to get senior big sexy stud to get his wife out of retirement. If she can use one of my Dremels or whatever. I've got a plethora of tools here. And I'll pay her.
Oh, you're so funny.
But yeah, then we went, and we had actually had an appointment to go look at a truck, right? We did have an appointment to go look at a truck for some future plans we have made.
Somewhere else. Wait, we were going to go somewhere else.
We were going to, it was going to be an hour and a half away, and we're going to Costco, and next to the Costco, there is a big Chevy dealership, a large Chevy dealership. I mean, so large. I thought that was kind of cool. They didn't even make their salesmen walk around the lot. They had people driving them in golf carts. Mm-hmm. Right? It's kind of a big place.
Yeah.
And it was getting toasty warm yesterday, and it's going to be worse today. And I was looking for a 3/4 ton truck.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? Let's just go drive one. So instead of going to Costco, I just went right past Costco and went to that Chevy dealer. And we drove a 2500 heavy duty. Wasn't a high country, but whatever the next one down from the high country was. And it set you on edge. You could not handle it. Your horizon was, and your brain was rattled.
There was some scrambled egg stuff going on in my
Yeah,
head.
yeah. So I was so glad we did that because that would have been terrible if I'd have drove an hour and a half to then drive the truck and find out, oh crap, we can't get this because this won't work into our plans.
Yeah.
So, but they happened to have, I didn't know, well, I guess I did know and I had forgotten. Chevy makes a half-ton truck with a diesel engine in it, and I was able to get one of those.
Yeah. Much better.
It's kind of a heavy-duty half-ton, and it rides a lot better for your sake, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we're at. But
so now I've been demoted back to my original car, which is fine. I like it.
right,
Because I just was adamant we're not going to have 2 car movements.
nope.
And my original car is paid off. And you've put a lot of miles on it since you took that one. So
in a year
today,
and a half. Yeah.
we're going to get her all cleaned up because, you pretty much live in your car traveling.
Yeah, I do.
We're going to get her all cleaned up and good for me and Mom again to pedal around. So
You just have to wear comfortable shoes when you're driving the Outback, and you'll be fine.
stop.
That's what everybody told me. Did you get a skirt with that, Dave? I'm like, Well, I went from driving a Ram 1500 to Outback.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's jump into this. I mean, let's be
Yeah.
serious about this,
Right.
right? It's kind of a serious subject, and I don't want this to be. Look, I don't want this to sound depressing. I sure as hell am not depressed. And this all started when my grandson, my number one grandson, asked me how old I was, and I told him, and he said, "Well, according to Google, statistically, you only have 15 more years to live, right?"
Mm-hmm.
I've referenced that many times here recently, and so that got me. And if you noticed, I titled this, "What If You Knew the Date?" Episode 81A. The reason it's 81A is up until this morning, we had different plans. We were going to do a different series this week. But I was reviewing some of the notes and the bullet points and all this, and I realized this all sounds amazingly similar to some things that we've already done. So then I thought, I'm switching gears. Wait, I don't want to do that because I don't want this to be repeat. That's not. I wouldn't be interested in listening.
I would have no idea if it was a repeat because I don't ever see this beforehand.
Well, yeah.
I'll just take you at your word.
So the question is, what if you knew the exact day and time you were going to die?
Mm-hmm.
All right? So would you live differently? And I'm not asking I'm just saying, would you live differently? Would you finally rest? Would you finally move? Would you finally say what needs to be said? Or would you let go of the fear that's been clinging to you like a shadow? And what about joy? Hey, kind of high on my list. What about sex? Would it be more frequent? More meaningful? Would it be less about release and more about connection, energy, merging, and presence? We're going to sit with all of that today. Not to be morbid, but to be free. Because the truth is, you do have an appointment. You just don't know when it is. And strangely enough, that might be the best gift you've ever been given. In Hebrews 9:27, it is written, "It is appointed for a man once to die, and after that comes judgment." It doesn't say maybe. It doesn't say for some. It says, it is appointed. You have a time. I have a time. Let's be honest. Most of us live like that appointment doesn't exist. We live like we've got an infinite supply of mornings, moments, and minutes. But what if we didn't? So let me ask you, what if someone came to you today and said, your death will be August 8th, 2040 at 2:32 p.m., 15 years from now? Or what if they said it was this year? What would you change? See, when people think about death, two things usually happen. They can either get terrified and freeze, or they shrug and avoid it entirely. Right? Mm-hmm. But there's a third way. To look death in the eye and live better because of it. There is this idea of harmony with impermanence, that everything flows, everything changes, and everything ends. And in that truth is incredible peace. The sun sets, the leaves fall, the breath rises and fades. And so do we. But that doesn't mean despair. I'll tell you what it does for me. It means urgency. It means gratitude. It means we pay attention. And that's the power of accepting your mortality. You wake up, so to speak. You know, a couple of episodes ago, we had talked about when you were younger, my love. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks ago. And you were talking about you went to a hospital in Chicago and had to do biofeedback. You recall that? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to talk a little bit about biofeedback, awareness, and the clock within. So if you've been listening, you know that story that I was talking about. It's not just science. It's awareness, mm-hmm. right? Your heart rate tells you when you're anxious, when you're grounded. Your breathing can either speed you up or slow you down. Your skin temperature, because you talked about that. Mm-hmm. Muscle tension, and even your thoughts. It's amazing how it always comes back to that, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. All are feeding you signals about the state of your life. So when you learn to read your internal rhythms, you realize you don't have to wait for a diagnosis to start living better. Because if the clock is ticking, and it is, then today matters. This hour matters. Your state of being right now matters. So ask yourself, are you alive in this moment? or just functioning? Okay, I want all of my grandkids to hit pause and go to the next episode. Okay. Because this is something I've been thinking about quite a little bit lately, and I want to talk a little bit about mortality and intimacy. So one of my favorite subjects, yes, let's talk about sex. Okay. Deep breath, Crusaders. Let's go there. Let's talk about sex, right? Because here's the thing. When you know you're going to die, you should stop wasting time with shallow intimacy. You stop treating your body like a machine or your partner like a stress outlet. Instead, you start craving connection, presence, energy that's not just physical, but spiritual, emotional, sacred, actually. Sex becomes a way of saying, I'm here, you're here, and we are alive together. And I'm not talking about it. It may not be more sex, even though that's not my choice. Though that might happen. It might be more frequent. It's about deeper sex, more honest, more attentive, more vulnerable, more of the I see you, I value you, I want to be fully present with you before my clock runs out. You know, and I saw a t-shirt and you wouldn't let me buy it, but well, it said it's only kinky the first time. Remember that?
Yeah.
I really wanted that shirt because that's kind of my motto. It's only kinky the first time. But anyway. And this, too, is spiritual. It's the Song of Songs. It's the garden. It's part of what we were given, not to escape death, but to fully experience life. My queen, do you dare expand on the subject of sex? I hear you smirking and giving me those sultry eyes over there.
Well, just that this is always this is a work in process for me, because this is always the forbidden language, the forbidden topic to talk about.
Yes, right.
And we've talked about that before, but in case you're new here,
we talked about this with my granddaughter's horse trainer, and he was like right in tune. He and his wife both were.
Well, she has the same kind of upbringing we have.
Yes, she did.
With
yes,
the
she did.
mental mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gymnastics.
That the church
did
to her, the same with us. So, but I think we're a little farther along.
I have no idea. I'm not
in the recovery process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's great when you meet like-minded people that you're trying to.
Correct.
And I say this all the time. It's sad.
It is.
It's taken us this long in our marriage to get to this point where we are understanding that. I know because we hate to use the word trauma, but it is kind of like a trauma.
Yes, you can't deny that.
And, this is we're like 3 years into this recovery process of understanding what those things do. Right. and rectifying them.
And how your body reacts.
Right.
And how to retrain, or
Right.
dare I say, we're just talking about biofeedback. And I made it clear in this podcast, many episodes, that it was a scary time in your mind. It wasn't so much in mine, but that I did a deeper dive into Taoism. And, there's a lot of conversation in Taoism about your energy within you. And there is certainly one of the strongest energies within people are their sexual energy.
Mm-hmm.
And to understand what that feels like, and then have the ability to control that sexual energy and potentially move it around your body, and then get to those positions where you could be multi-orgasmic and those type of things, which are mind-boggling. And I'm not, look, we are made in the image of God. God created us. There is a reason women have a lot more nerve endings on certain parts than others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. Because there's no other purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right. But I think back to the original conversation that you and I had, and I just want to put this out there.
Yes.
For anybody else who might be on this journey. I I think when somebody brings something new to you, your first reaction might be because you're scared, because it's
Right.
new and
Sure.
it's totally different than what you were ever taught. And
In business, we call that a paradigm shift. And I don't know if that's
Right.
business, but it's shifting your thinking.
Right. And so I want to encourage people to have an open mind and not just shut down the thought process of
Correct.
just because it's scary. It's scary to open your mind to something different.
Correct. I know, you're absolutely right.
And it almost goes back to the whole, when we started this podcast, why do you believe what you believe?
Correct. Exactly right.
And so just have an open mind about the whole topic.
And yes. Yes. And, my boss and I were having a conversation about something, and he said to me, and keep in mind, my boss is a little bit older than my son. So anyway, but he's a brilliant guy. I mean, he is mature beyond years and just freaking intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, it appears that you're saying something different now than what you said then, because I'm saying, so there's a contradiction here. And he looked at me very confidently and said, and I love this statement, I reserve the right to change my mind. Okay?
That sounds like something anybody would say.
I love that. Isn't that brilliant?
It is. Yeah.
I reserve the right to change my mind.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, that's kind of what we've been in the process for the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more than 3. Last several years. And specifically related to this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm going to jump one more time, and then so now you can go get my grandkids and bring them back to the episode, because I know one of them actually listens. I'm going to talk about bucket list. And maybe we need to talk about a bucket list kind of reimagined, okay? So now the question, what's on your list before you kick the bucket, right? That's kind of what bucket lists are supposed to be.
Right.
Let's reframe that. Not just thrill-seeking, not just eating pastries and Paris. I don't think that's on my list anyway. I'm just assuming it's on somebody's list.
Uh-huh.
But things like apologizing to someone you haven't talked to in years. writing the story you've held inside for too long. Maybe taking your grandson swimming. I don't know if he fishes. I don't fish. I don't think he fishes either, does he? No. How about finishing that song or that poem or that painting? Or maybe sitting quietly under a tree without needing anything to happen. Ecclesiastes 3 says, there is a time to be born and a time to die. But it also says there's a time to plant, a time to dance, and a time to laugh. And friend, if you're listening to this, it means you're still in the time to live. So what's on your list? Really? Not the one you say in public, the real one. You know, we can't have this conversation without being us. I mean, if you really knew you had 5 days left, here's my question. Would you waste your time folding the fitted sheets? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would you argue online about nothing?
No, I don't.
We don't do that anyway,
No.
but we know folks who do.
Yeah.
Would we clean our garage? We will be cleaning the car. Or would we take our grandkids for ice cream?
Mm-hmm.
See, there's a certain freedom in the end. Suddenly, permission is granted to let go of dumb stuff. Okay. To say yes or to say no. To nap.
Mm-hmm.
To dance badly.
That's the only way I know how.
And we've done this. To laugh at a funeral
Mm-hmm.
and cry at a sunset.
Stop. I'm going to give a Clemson. That's so silly.
Yeah, that's not. You'd stop trying to earn your worth and start being who you were meant to be. So let's bring this home. Psalm 90:12, it is written, teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And that's really what this episode, this series, is really about. Not fear, not dread, but wisdom. And with it, joy. There is an appointment coming. It's not punishment. It's part of the design. But until that hour strikes, you get to live. You get to forgive. You get to kiss your spouse all over her body. Sorry, you just get your spouse like it's the last time. And you get to laugh until your stomach hurts. You get to walk outside and notice that the trees are still doing their thing without fear of death, just flowing, bending, being. And maybe that's our invitation too. So here's your challenge, Crusaders. write your if I knew I'd die in 5 years list. Not just the big stuff, the real stuff. And then ask, what can I do today from this list? And what am I waiting for? And why? Then take one step. Small is fine, but do it. Today. My queen, do you have any closing thoughts?
I got several running through my head, but I think the biggest one is, well, two things. I think if you're going to live this idea of, if you knew the date, I think just living in the moment, just being present
Yes,
in
absolutely.
every
Right.
situation, you appreciate everything. But also, I think having no fear of when that date is
Yes.
because we have
Yes.
victory over death.
Correct. We know that.
Yes.
We know that.
Yep.
Yes. And I have no fear.
Me too.
I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I have a little bit of fear of how I might die. It might be painful, but other than that, I also no.
Yeah.
But
I don't even fear that because it's not going to be long. Well,
right.
I hope it's not long. Right. That's the
what I
truth.
mean.
Yeah. I get that.
I mean,
and I give you permission. I know my son would take care of me. I
Yeah.
hate to say that. I know he would. When I say he would not let me suffer long.
all right. I mean, well, one of my besties, I mean, I have two. They're my only friends in the whole world. But anyways,
They're
Terry.
my friends too. Well, okay.
Oh, no, yeah. She is, but you say she isn't. We were talking this week about this.
I just need to help keep her in check. She's a doll.
Anyways,
I know.
We were talking this week about this whole Middle East, Israel, Iran situation. And, we went, yeah, we went there for a minute, and I just said, if the world's coming to an end, I don't want to know. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, if missiles are flying, I don't want a public service announcement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to sit here and spend, the last
half hour,
6 minutes, whatever.
it is. Yeah.
Just let us all live.
Right.
For, those
Right.
how many minutes it is. I don't want to sit here waiting to burn up. That's what I mean.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That reminds me, and it's not really all that. Well, Martin Luther, one of my guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Luther's one of my guys. He had a lot of his own BS problems, but he was asked a very similar question. What if you knew when Christ was returning? What do you do? You know what his answer was? Look busy.
Oh, yeah. I remember that now. Yeah.
Look busy.
As if the all-knowing wouldn't know. You would fool him.
Yeah. I get a charge out of that. So, like I said, I just want to get everything in life. And we had this conversation, I think, earlier this morning out on the sit and sip. Everything in life boils down to very few things. And the one common denominator amongst most all of them is our mindset.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's really what I'm talking about here.
Right.
All right. And getting our mindset right.
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to, drive it home.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're right. I think that's great. Do you have any other things you'd like to add? I'm just asking.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So look, in closing, we want to live boldly. We also want to die ready, right?
Absolutely.
So friends, the clock is ticking. That's not bad news. That's your permission to live fully. So let's do it together. This is Crusade with me, and this was episode 81A. What if we knew the date? Next time, we'll talk about what's actually worth doing before you go. Until then, breathe deep, love hard, and keep crusading with me.